Alrighty, people. Thank you for tuning in here for the 2020 update here into the New Year's. I'm going to go over my breakdown here. I know some people here don't believe in New Year's resolutions because they don't stick to it for self-benefit, but I do. I better myself every year to do better by the people around me and by myself. Thus, my positive influence can continue to prosper in the right ways. My New Year's resolution was to take care of myself, not let myself go, take care of my mom, and give my gaming dream a new direction. And so this was a long overdue assessment of my personal affairs as time and divided attention slowed me down a lot in completing this. So, I have everything broken down into timestamps for for the selective viewer or subscriber, so you can listen to an area of interest relevant to you and or why you subscribed. I don't want you to unsubscribe, but if you feel like I'm going in a different direction than what you may like or am accustomed to, by all means you are free to subscribe or unsubscribe. I don't take it personally. So, without further ado, let's make it do what it do. So, real quick, let's knock Fortnite out of the way. This content was discontinued on November 2019 following my awareness of bots shadily placed throughout the video game to secretly make competitive players think they're good in non-competitive games. Be it a low or high presence depending upon how many solo wins or squad wins a person has, it's the fact that they're there in the first place to naturally implant the idea of growth through deception from some invisible hand-holding sequence when you're really likely more trash than you think you are. And don't tell me other Fortnite players, even past Fortnite players, never heard of it, because it's highly likely that no one of modern day playing never will. Past Fortnite players probably aren't even going to take the time to focus on that shit, otherwise you lose sight on your cash cow that's keeping you any revenue that's anything relevant to Fortnite, if that. Epic Games went through a hell of a lot of trouble to keep the deception hidden from their viewers for so long in order to continue the game's engagement and prolonged relevancy of the meta video gaming plateaus. As much as I grew to hate that game, the more I also denied my chances at my wins, and my Fortnite playlist will not be deleted, regardless of the mixed feelings that I had for a long time about Fortnite that were culminated to this point where I decided to just leave everything. I'm not deleting my playlist of Fortnite. I loved many of the adventures I had throughout Fortnite's sandbox with many of you guys out there in my following. Many gamers in which are from my past adventures through the Transformers scene, the Borderlands gaming scene, and XENOVERSE and Destiny are all featured here. And while that playlist will be closed permanently at this time, I will not delete any of it for vast sentimental reason. It means too much to me. Dragonball XENOVERSE 2. I would like to continue my work here with how welcoming the XENOVERSE community was at first in bringing me in back in 2017. But here in 2020, my bad. The feeling is no longer mutual, I feel. The evolution of kids, teens, whatever, taking control of common sense, like it's a phrase or gathering or an order in a general online communal atmosphere, is appalling. Expanding laziness where players don't want to do anything yet are bored and want change without contribution. You can't nicely continue seeking out good games without angering someone, because a gamer here always wants to flex more so over gradually learning from wins and losses, because a whole bunch of pissant kids hate losing still for some goddamn petty reason. And communities keep growing upon inviting more excited yet possibly shady ass kids that further do nothing in these groupings. Time and days given to valuable, constructive, or supporting ideas only to be shot down by youthful pride and very beautiful ignorance. Further expanding of any ideas, reaching out yet not reaching any other voice, owning to naivete or obliviousness itself. Man, where have I heard this shit from before? Oh, I know. Transformers. Where have I heard this shit from before? Overwatch. Rainbow Six Siege. It is revolting to where I honestly want to puke on this fucking video game sometimes, and its socially antisocial community growth patterns with so many oblivious asses. My ideas here that I wanted to continue for this video game, I decided that I'm not going to waste my time with it anymore. I'm going to write down my ideas and put it away in my notes. I'm not wasting any more time here on XENOVERSE unless it's on a community live stream. I don't even care about my playability to the game any longer, frankly. Consistency really isn't an issue at this point. As good as I perform for myself, or whatever that means, I pretty much, in my opinion, I have the worst win-loss ratio given for a competitive player of my merit after all these years continuing and coming and going to the game at my leisure. Shitty connections, unregistered hit marks and matches from likely lag, focuses on more engaging games, and my own poor management of skill upkeep with each inviting or highly uninviting online rendezvous. Here, I'll show you the screenshots for myself between all my character profiles and the win-loss ratio. I have nothing to be ashamed of, and I have nothing to hide. Dragonball FighterZ has much of my focus, as consistency is the issue there due to divided focuses elsewhere on the other competitive scenes juggled. Knowing my luck, my stress in seeking something new in XENOVERSE 2 can likely go down a couple of notches with XENOVERSE pushed to the back burner somewhat of my focuses, or else out of the picture all in all, and I realize, and take the time really to realize the death of an open originality. Here is a mounting reality in this community. There is no more originality, I feel. Good PvP games online are dying off with each player encounter that I come across personally, and it varies too much. So, outside of a specific competitive rendezvous with a fighter, I'm deciding to host one, maybe two big matches to close my open lobby one-on-one in my my online versus arena panel for XENOVERSE 2. So I'm going to be temporarily discontinuing my one-on-ones here. For a little bit anyway. If I have any one-on-ones at that point on, they'll just be from personal contacts I've already met in the community. I won't be going out of my way to meet one-on-ones with people. After that point, I feel hosting openly competitive one-on-ones to randoms and players I don't know here may be a waste of time and creativity, as fewer players are respective to my panel's purposes and general outline, and still want to do whatever the fuck they want to do. I don't need any more disrespectful pricks in my presence. Hosting a lobby to likely grow more of a deaf audience or disrespectful fighters honestly sounds highly boring, tactless as fuck, and respectfully unfulfilling. I know enough disrespectful people. I don't need to add to it willingly just to seek some stupid ass matches that I can get elsewhere. Again, if it's with people that I know, I'm more than willing to take time to come back and sit and play with friends. But if it's nobody that I know, I don't want to bother to know you, and you're going to stay a nobody to me for personal reasons. Please and thank you, or no thank you, I don't care. Overwatch. Wow, that name actually gets depressing every time I say it in my head. So, when it comes to Overwatch, it's not a unique experience anymore. It's the same shitty meta over and over that I'm up against. It's the same good or shitty teammates I'm dealing with, in addition to running a battle against a whole bunch of sweaty-ass players, getting killed needlessly until they wise the fuck up at the last second when the match is done. And nobody cares at that point. My beef with the Overwatch community is in me not getting what I sought in a very humble, straightforward request. The Ashe only one-on-one. Why was that so hard to do? I would honestly like to know, why the hell was that so hard to seek one match, one stupid ass match from an ignorant community? My unusual challenge request, while unique, is beneficially dead now. I felt like putting this challenge out there in the Overwatch community media for something to explore over the coming holidays, if said players are or were free with what was given at the time. So I decided that I will do this because it hones in on an area that I like with a character that I really love playing as. I really love playing as Ashe. I love a lot of stuff about Ashe, just as much as I do Zenyatta, but I love Ashe more. My goal in having that Ashe only one-on-one with a whole bunch of people that, according to what I heard, was supposed to be very skilled players. My goal was to be one of the best Ashe mains around, in the right sense. And in order for me to be good with Ash, I have to beat other people or face or confront other people that were good with the same character in the same premise. Well, damn, fuck me if I didn't realize that that was a dead art. I main Zenyatta, but he's not the focus point here. I don't care too much if there are other Zenyatta mains better or more accurate than me, because that's more of a challenge for me to dance around and do my best to enjoy myself in the games that I was playing at the times I cared about playing Overwatch competitively. I care about Ash players using her for her actual gun game and her tactics, as opposed to just relying on her overpowerability of Bob alone. Which now I clearly see how big of a pool that is for actual Ash mains, which ain't a lot. I don't have what I want from this trifling ass community of Overwatch people with so many fake ass quote unquote great players that are supposed to be around for PlayStation, PSN as opposed to PC, yet are not here clearly. And so I don't give a fuck about Overwatch anymore, because that's the way it will go for me. I ask for one thing to present me with from the community so I can have a great memory from the game when I choose to kind of walk away from the video game. Because from here on out, I really don't want to care about Overwatch anymore. And since that's not delivered, I'm not going to worry about it. There was nothing great about Overwatch to begin with, barring the one or two nice memories I may have from another life with another clan for the small time in which I had it. Oh, FYI. If anyone approaches me now in 2020 about wanting a mystery duel or a game all of a sudden in Overwatch and I don't know you, I'm gonna block your fucking ass right on the spot, because I don't need to deal with any more bullshit from the community. Because now you want to play with me when I don't give a fuck, and I stop playing it because it's easier for you to win rather than when I gave a damn about playing and I gave a damn about my upkeep and consistency to the game. Nigga, please get that dumb shit out of my face if anything or anybody approaches me about Overwatch mystery duels ever again. Rainbow Six Siege. I know what I want to do in terms of achieving my goal to accomplish the push towards Platinum 3 one time, even while my pseudo-juggling of activities has no sense to my otherwise logical strive on a complicated journey of constant change and adaptation as a norm. As the end game is to reach Platinum 3, this usually lands me around the placement of tier Gold 3, Gold 2 range, which I can be content with for a good time. As close as this gets me to Gold tier or within Gold tier range, and then I hold the line for a good amount of time to try to push higher or prevent the declination process, it does crash at times. And when it crashes, it falls a far away from grace that usually requires a longer journey to retain that which was lost, with more character building principles through each battle fought in anger, given frustration, disorientation, cloudiness, or foggy obliviousness, not always calculated in the field. Shit that you can't accumulate for, because shit happens. The struggle will continue back into Gold Country for as long as it takes, and as long as I can sustain the focal point. The shift of direction is not what's the focus of this conversation, but rather the variety of content I need to enlighten upon. At one point, this was an area of interest I really tried to do console YouTubing content for very strongly, to try and be that person that can do this on console and get a lot of shit going for Rainbow, but I quickly saw that this wasn't the game for me to do that with its level of needed consistency and staying on top of each patch note or update that happens, as well as each continual application or my own continual application of constant first-person shooter game sense. And that in itself cannot always be done for me, as different first-person shooter games offer different versions of game sense for that genre. So for now, only the group online rank games that I do with my groups will be shown or unlisted from here on out in order to simplify the amount of content you generally see in my feed regarding Rainbow Six Siege's competitive environment. That way it simplifies a lot of things. So from here on out, just expect mainly ranked videos, if anything, from Rainbow Six Siege. Dragonball FighterZ. Okay, so here's the game plan I have for this, because this is going to be hitting in 2 to 3 different ways at the same time once I hit the ground running for fighters for the first few months into this until a new update's going to happen, not for the video game, but for me personally and my endeavors in the video games application. So what I'm doing first is I'm going to be leaving the online scene of Dragonball XENOVERSE 2 on PlayStation 4 for a time to invest that time in application to combative detail, usually there in XENOVERSE. I'm going to send all of this back into FighterZ to get what I need here. And so, like I said earlier in my pre-aforementioned bid about what I'm doing in XENOVERSE 2, I will be taking my closing 1 versus 1 in the next coming weekend, approximately, or around Sunday. However, in my call to action 1v1 series on XENOVERSE 2, and this is temporary as this time. It is temporary at this time that it will be invoked. The goals I have on Dragon Ball FighterZ are as follows. I need to get my orange square back. I need to rematch Saiken 2 more times while he is still here with. I need to confront the entity who mains Beerus called JRK, or Just Relax Kid. I want to face Axice if I can place my bid for him. I want my rematch with the guy named Hakushin Indra that I had fought at Christmas time when I won Ride FGC's holiday giveaway bash. I earned my right to fight him even though it was an ass whooping of legendary proportions. That's all good. I want a rematch with that dude once I get better. And I want to rematch the Anti-Venom. I placed my bid also on the FighterZ community panels to see if I can have my matches or have a set with some of the big names or some of the head honchos that are seen around in the FighterZ scene. So I'm going to wait and see how that goes. I have my bids with Axice to see if I can actually secure the match. I have my bid with Ride FGC himself. And I have my bid with Cloud805, I believe was the name. I'll see where all that goes. But first things first, I have Saiken at the top of the list right now because that's the goal I'm working towards in seeing a trilogy match of a massive one-on-one against him that can come full circle in a huge opportune encounter on Dragon Ball FighterZ before he drops Dragon Ball FighterZ, possibly drops Dragon Ball FighterZ. The release time of Grand Blue Versus is approximately February 2020, but this is for Japan, not in America. There is no US release at this time, but I imagine it'll be more focused on once the initial Japan release or the Japanese release date is named. Anyways, Saiken is possibly leaving the game scene at around that time to turn a full focus into Grand Blue. I imagine if Grand Blue doesn't work out, he'll still pop up here and there in the fighter scene, but probably not as strongly or with enough finesse or oomph towards playing the game, which I guess I can kind of see because you got a new fighting game that you want to hop on rather than the past one. But that's the main focus initially for me. I want to face Saiken with everything before he possibly leaves all this. And I don't know whether he will or will not, but I can't overlook that possible inevitability. And this gives me approximately 1 month and maybe some change in which to train myself into the best peak form to be at in order to meet him for another match or another couple of matches. Or heck, any of the others along the way that I may have mentioned. But the problem with me is that I don't know what my peak is. That's what I aim to discover through this growing journey. And that's why I need to cut something from the past that I was using, or cut something out of my daily ritual in order to add application elsewhere. Each updated encounter on the fighter's front will be one more step towards what I want from this game, and that is my orange square. I can go higher than that, but my initial focus is orange, and it always will be orange, because it bothers me that I can keep fighting orange and pink squares to some decent level of consistency or impressive display of skill or proficiency sometimes, yet I can't actually do well half the time against orange yellow squares or low orange squares, or like really thirsty or seeking yellow squares all of a sudden that are really aggressive, and then suddenly before I actually start winning I'm already a green square again. It bothers me. Winning and losing don't matter too strongly to me, but obviously I'm fighting to win as it establishes the training results I'm seeking. What matters is that I'm giving these games everything I have to reach the next plateau of myself. That's what matters to me. Destiny 2. Okay, I took a very long break from this community to figure out exactly what I want here in this gameplay. I took a lot of thought in making this decision to not only return to playing Destiny 2, to give direction to my YouTube, to review core viewing content, but also to come to terms with what I want to do with the rest of my time and money investment to the game, so it's not just dead money sitting here like what Fortnite is doing right now. A lot of Destiny media is slowly pointing to the signs of Trials possibly returning, like possibly returning with Saint 14 or the next update in Season of Dawn or some new update coming in Destiny's foreseeable future. I don't know, but I know that I'm going to get in on that no matter what I have to do to build a team of my own and begin somewhere. I want in on the Trials. Anybody who knows me knows that I want to fight for my place on a spot in a Trials roster somewhere along the line, to try and fight for my place for some type of recognition. And if I can actually get that, if it can actually happen, I need to jump on this now. I have to set up everything in advance and get started on this immediately if this has any type of factuality to it. My affairs are slowly going to begin in a couple of different directions, very slowly, so I can have an early hand in the pots of a lot of these things that are about to be in motion. For one, I'll need to relearn the game over again and get back to where I was, at least there, from last season when I hit Mythic 2. So I'll be very slowly picking the game back up here and there. If and when that does happen, then what will happen next is I'm going to need a squad way in advance, or a team of players I can adapt alongside with. Those that know the Crucible without needing to look down their noses at my group choosings or my friends or my leadership credibility or any inferior KD ratio bullshit. That's where a lot of trial and error will come into play, in playing with a lot of different people, those that are willing to learn, those that are willing to expand themselves, willing to let me help them, or in terms you can probably even help me. Thus is where I feel competitive can help a lot of this out along the way. Not only to another new weapon and a new sandbox, but it is also helping me to expose myself to many different sociable players on the platform to learn the meta and the meta counters I'll need or that can be adapted towards. I'll be looking to recreate another tag team here in Destiny 2 competition, but only to those that are proven to me to be steady cooperative players. I don't care if you're skilled. I just need to be I need you to be cooperative. I'm creating an update about that at some point in the future to also cover the assessment of everything that you will or will need to know in order to play with me, or that I would expect you to likely know by that point. I'm not trying to pick up any added kids misplaced or disrespected throughout Destiny scenes or the LFG scene, but I'll have a backup plan in place by the time that becomes apparent, or would ironically be relevant knowing my luck. And then next, I'm also going to strive for the higher elevation left in Crucible, that which is to achieve, and that is to hit Legend Mastery, both to test myself in doing something harder than reaching Fabled in my past bit of Crucible activity. And as this will eliminate randoms, it will also increase my chances of finding better players along the way that can find me to work with and not a carrying service to do their shit for them. I hope to God. I'm needing to start somewhere, and I need to prepare a backup plan in case something goes wrong here as well, so I'm going back to relying on myself alone for a little bit. And then once I reach an establishing point to get myself where I need to be at, I'll then see to finding players to coordinate and cooperate with. What's ironic now is what's about to happen to me that I'll gladly embrace, because that's life, and that's the way that it's going to go. My life of constant online struggling. As much as I'll be seeking new interests that'll keep me engaged to Destiny or stuff outside PvP, so I'm not always bored doing PvP, becoming a PvP no-life again, I'm going to be stuck dealing with various teammates for a while that aren't my friends, likely new to this season or off in their own little world, lone wolfing through everything like shit still works in a team-based activity. Weirdly enough, I cut D2 off cold turkey for a long while, then came back during the Season of the Undying, binged Crucible in like a chill cycle all the way into Mythic, oddly enough. Then I lost it all at the last second. Now I'm here placing my bid to Legend, the closing tier after Mythic, and I actually feel like I can do this with enough time, sense, and foresight like what I had before. The only difference is, rather than bullshitting my way through where I'm just casually playing and bullshitting my way to Mythic, this time I'm actually just going to try and play with a little bit more attention to detail and a more assertiveness. Now, your question there that comes logically, okay, why put yourself through so much of a hell? I'm doing this because I have a goal to realize, and I have a dream to try to fulfill for this video game. I'm making sure, first of all, that my investment in Destiny stays how I want. I'm making sure that my investment in Destiny is spent in the way I know that makes me happy some. Honestly, since PvP was where the interest started, that's mainly where, or why rather, I keep wanting to come back mainly here to PvP and not anywhere else. I come back here to the Crucible over anything else because Crucible honestly feels like home as much as I hate it. It's the only thing I really bothered to want to know and to become highly accustomed with through the years over everything else that Destiny has provided. It's the only thing that's interesting. It's never boring. It's highly annoying, yeah. It's random at times and maybe occasionally challenging, but PvE is the most boring activity to do in this game by yourself. So I only do it when I have to do my weeklies, so I stay getting rewards each engagement, and it keeps me motivated to want to finish the activity. And heck, every now and again I probably might get a nice little bonus weapon or a toy out of that I could probably sit and use later on or apply to another build idea. Outside of that, otherwise, I'm still in PvP activity, studying other player builds, their exotic focuses, the stats of those builds, the weapons at times, the weapon rolls or master rolls, however it is, of said weapon or gear. Hell, even the conventional playstyles or unconventional playstyles that I'm always seeing that people are using, that way I could probably use it myself, or I know how to counter it in a future competitive rendezvous. This game seems to be among the few games left that I'm actually naturally good at, regardless of how long I stay away or bother to take breaks from this game. It always holds an interest with me, as there's always some changing opposition in good and bad taste. It doesn't seem to slow down the rate of progress that I can slowly gain back neither, so it makes sense in a way that D2 would be a returning focal point even in the mass Season of Dawn update to the Destiny gameplay nowadays. Not having the DLC to boost my grinding efforts to higher levels and just having the basics of the season pass, I'll be doing all of this the old-fashioned way, and so I'll be logging in for a few hours at a time to just do Destiny 2 and nothing else in that one sitting. It might be a lengthy process to let Destiny back into my life a bit more, so I can be more compelling to play smoother. But this is time I gotta try to make gradually, and this is a risk I need to try to go for. And this is a journey I feel I'm ready to go on again. I honestly feel I'm ready for it after clearing my head. I was in a really bad situation the first time I made the claim and walking away with that whole shit show that happened in just getting to Fabled. Then I come back and suddenly I get Fabled done in, hell, less than half the time it took me the second time. And then I go even further than that. So if I actually take time to apply myself this time and try to keep myself up to date with patch notes and all the competitive updates that happen with weapons and armor sets, there might actually be a shot I have at doing something really big with this game. And I could probably go all the way. But the thing is to not make such a big deal out of this and see how far I may actually be able to go. Not having the DLC is a very large crutch that I'm going to have to figure out how to work around, so unfortunately this is only going to get harder from here in that sense. And so none of this I expected to be easy. It never is. And so I just have to be ready for what I can and cannot control. Transformers. I do still have some Fall of Cybertron content to upload that's been sitting on my Elgato for the lot of 2019 between PS3 and PS4, if that. And so I'm slowly getting that uploaded too, so I can have gigabyte room for other things I'm working on in my free time yet to be released or divulged. If it is finished, then it'll likely go to my Discord community first before anywhere else beyond there. First come, first serve, and I put the Discord community first in the up and coming stages before I put it anywhere else for publicization. Frankly, it pisses me off that I put so much time, love, and effort into everything else but Transformers right now, for logical reasons of continued modern day adaptation and relevance, and moving away from a past dead competition as much as I would like it to still exist to some extent. Yet the Transformers content itself that I upload whenever I upload it continues to bring in more viewership and revenue to my YouTube than any other type of content combined in that general sitting. It's highly frustrating and it really pisses me off, but I understand why that is. I understand it. I can respect that Transformers content in some way, shape, or form is what you're waiting to see a lot of the time. Unfortunately for me, much of my resources are dying off or drying up in continuing original content for this area of content. People can become unreachable or are unreachable. They stop playing PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4, or they stop being on PSN at all. People don't seem to want to talk about Fall of Cybertron or War for Cybertron or Dark of the Moon Pass for numerous shitty or shady reasons that I'm guessing are to remain buried. Not that I blame a lot of people regarding some of the pasts of Cybertron that I'm aware of that are likely better off left unsaid. People are forgetful or highly lazy or off in their own world, being lazy about wanting to be included or having anything to do with my podcast segments that are for the Transformers communities. And the more I'm wanting to try to delve into them, thus delving into the past of our communities, which is otherwise impossible nowadays in the Transformers gaming platform. I found a way to bridge the gap of generations between older players and newer players, but that bridge has been slowly cutting off because of a lot of people being forgetful or not mindful of my time or my aspirations or other things I'm working on. It becomes more and more legwork for me finding unaccommodating players and gamers across PlayStation for usually unreasonable time placements where I go way the hell out of my way to be up at some insane hour to sit with that one person for that one interview nobody else can or will try to attain, for enriching content that only the dedicated can provide, that gives the Transformers community something really genuine and true to trust in and to be grateful to view in modern day Transformers gameplay. As the game night continues, or as the game nights continue anyway, and they are presentable, I can occasionally set aside time on the Friday evenings or the weekend times if I'm not on PS4 or else not available, period. And I can try and see if I can go to these things, and I can try and rendezvous with some of the people back on PS3, see how everybody's doing, see how the community's doing, how everything's being upheld still nowadays. What I say though is don't expect anything big or expect me to go out of my way is my only stimulation, because I'm done going out of my way for a lot of different things, because I get nothing back out of doing any of this. I just want to make sure the community can still prosper for some extent, but I don't get any thanks out of this, and I don't get any help trying to help this along for whatever it is that it means to the community. It's like a thankless job in some sense, is what it always feels like. I can visit, I can play. I don't visit GameFAQs as much, if at all, anymore for Transformers. I'm aware players still care about how well they do on the game, yet pass it off like they don't for some fucking reason. I don't care about my own upkeep that much to something I once was excessively and ritualistically passionate about, so I don't really care too much about what other people think regarding what they do. Just play the game and move on. Because of this, I also really just stopped really worrying about one-on-ones, so FYI, don't ask me for one-on-ones. I don't care to do them for the game seriously anymore like I used to. I used to play one-on-ones highly competitively and seriously for the most part. I aim to keep it that way rather than stressing myself out over self-consistency or trying to be some destroyer perfectionist again. It's highly exhausting. And as I do this and try to work this into my usual, already highly set ritual of gameplay for how I have everything set out for what I'm doing for 2020, know this. I know not too many people care about my point as to why I left the Transformers franchise gaming scene and competitive scene. Besides the competitive scene dying off, besides the clan scene dying off, besides the player base falling to a stronger number count in favor of the players still here to this day, besides all that crap, understand why I stuck to wanting to move away from the video games to do other things and pursue deeper interests rather than being known for the same thing or only being seen one way all the time and not any vastly bigger scene or image that I can strive towards, just like I did here in Transformers, and be that image, potentially be that person, be a whole new plateau of myself, and not just be the tactical destroyer or Tact Rhinox or the leader of Tact or the founder of Tact Incorporated or that guy that leads a noob clan or this guy that can't do shit in Destiny apparently but does all this dumb shit that nobody else can do to some extent, or that meets all these people, all these amazing people in the online realm across all the competitive platforms. I have the potential to do so much, but I have to have the time to try to do it. If that. One man can't be a mountain. As much as I really keep neglecting to tell myself this, and yet I still keep trying to basically be my own Superman, because I don't really have too much of a communication systems or any type of system to try to help my growth along in all these different things, to help my image grow or to help my channel grow or to help anything prosper beyond what it is. It's a long process to keep your head above water, and I can understand why the support is hollow sometimes. And lastly, we'll be creating a weekly planner. So when it rains, it pours, right? So how does a gamer YouTuber fit all of this into his itinerary with pending limited time balanced out between platforms? Granted, a goal is given to each platform. That's very clear. But now it's the time given to each platform in which to play. Easy. I created a detailed planner or schedule in which to plan out what game to play or engage on what day. Honestly, it took too long to write this out, but it is finally finished. I left this to my social groups to help me with this and to write out the itinerary for me and help me with this while I was away, to take time to do IRL and honestly just keep myself sane. But hey, fuck me, right? I still come back and I gotta do it all anyways because nobody bothered or cared to do it to help me, so it's no biggie. I gotta do it anyways, like usual. And so I have it broken down into each day that can shift, leaving the weekend open for side games that I have no competitive focus on, added time into one of the main entry focus points I named, or nothing at all. Nothing as in not a goddamn thing at all to do, nor people to interact with, including my friends. I want time alone for me. I don't give a damn who you are or what you think you are. I'm taking time away from me. That way I can take care of me and worry about me. That's time that can be invested in watching my cartoons or my anime or my TV shows or watching my court shows or some shit and not busting my ass off in a video game. I need to take time for Rodimus Prime alone. Shit I should have done a long time ago, honestly, but I never did because I never had the time to do it. As soon as I come online, I basically got to be like a whole other person to myself. In 2020, that needs to stop. I need to put myself ahead of everybody else and stop putting others ahead of me because it keeps setting my shit back. And I need to put my shit to the forefront so I can be the next plateau of me that I should have been a long time ago. That basically concludes the majority of my itinerary here that I have for PlayStation 4 gaming here in 2020. The hard part about all this is just the fact that I still feel like I'm going to be doing a lot of this shit on my own. And so I have to be ready that I got to be ready for this struggle because this is going to be likely more than what I can handle, but I have to slowly bite off bit by bit the lot of this as we go. My outline for 2020 along with my planner is now here for you guys to understand, for those that get this far in my channel update. I'm sorry, but if you're still going to ask me about my content when this video is here to tell you all of that exactly because you're being lazy, then fuck off. Don't bother to ask me. Take it personally for all I care. Leave, go, I don't give a fuck. You would hardly pay attention anyways anymore, so I'm not stopping you. I'm sorry I'm not more popular, but reality is often disappointing, isn't it? In reflection of a lot of my assessment in my channel's growth and high declination, I realized that this is a Transformers themed channel originally, with a touch of Destiny and whatever anime RPG thing is on the side I'm doing when I'm not there on Transformers. That was the original formula of my channel, thus Transformers was the main game to be featured as passionately as I would present it and represent my elements in the community at that time and during my tenure in the Transformers scene. Transformers was a steady staple for this channel that I'd always put out, if nothing else, regardless of the varying grids or games I'm traveling to or the other competitive games I'm visiting. I've been gambling a lot with viewership for logical reasons to try out new things and visit different places, making use of my assets and my platform. This is why viewers see so much diverse content that I'd be doing from the past couple of years with my free time that I was gradually having and becoming my own free time again. It wasn't given to anybody else when I have time to be available to basically babysit or coach or lecture. I did this as I set the road out early for a different direction to go in after I would make my choice to leave a stable breadwinner of content for my channel, which was when I left Transformers. Viewership died off vastly, unless it's Transformers relevant shit. People will unsubscribe due to discontinued content creation, which I explained earlier how original content is harder to make, but it's not impossible. And so my chance to get to 1K subs is dead. It's been dead since 2018 because my sub count hasn't changed throughout any of 2019. It stayed at 860 to 870 throughout the whole year. So I reached out to a lot of different platforms, social media platforms, to spread out what I've done in the past rather than what I'm doing in present day. I need added media to help expand my image and operation, to promote myself so the online realm is more aware of who I am. I have Pinterest, I promote my stuff there. Facebook doesn't help at all. A friend was helping me with an Instagram, but that's not going anywhere, so I'd rather not have Instagram at all. And while I'm not using Twitch to stream, I do have a Twitch page, and so I decided to write out a full biography about myself there. This way people I meet along the way in newer gaming communities that support or generally use Twitch as a norm, like I use YouTube as a norm, can be aware of my past in online gaming through the years of activity I've been dedicating to online competitive gaming, both before PS3, during, and here in the after. Less people in gaming know me or want to know me, but know of me for logical reasons of my past. I went through all the trouble to promote myself using media and during a lot of exposure, but at the same time, I don't want to continue giving in to needed negativity because of social media, gaming media that can't be generally positive or promoting of other people. You always have to promote yourself. You can't rely on others to help you. If they do, cool. If they don't be surprised that they didn't stick out their neck for you. Other people aren't going to do that. They're going to stay to try and keep promoting themselves rather than promoting other people around them to help. One must not take it personally that other people didn't take the time or have time in the first place to see what you do so they can help you along. All you can do is try. That's it. As Destiny seemed to be the next best consistent item that I was consistent with at a time, as at the end of Destiny 1 I went into full Transformers stuff and then Transformers back into Destiny 2 for the brief time I did Destiny 2 or however that shit worked. And now here we are, in some weird ass reason we're here on Destiny 2. So the Transformers now somewhat out of the picture or to the back burner indefinitely. It makes sense that Destiny 2, as much of a mental division as I have for this video game and its community, would be the next concrete direction for my channel to go in, and I need to stick with this to allot proper guidance for myself and further developments of competitive and combative and cooperative clarity. Any thoughts, comments, or links or whatever, let me know down below in the comments section. Or if you hold your peace like usual, then you got nothing to nitpick or complain about, honestly. Just stay along for the ride.